Powerwash Simulator 2 is a simulation game developed and published by Future Lab and released on October 23rd of 2025 for PlayStation 5 and other platforms. In a genre crowded with novelty-driven simulators that often feel disposable, the original Powerwash Simulator stood out in 2022 by tapping into something genuinely satisfying, the simple methodical pleasure of turning filth into clarity. It wasn't ironic or loud, it was calm, tactile, and oddly rewarding. The sequel arrives with the confidence of a game that understands exactly why people love the first one, expanding on that foundation without losing its identity. At its core, this is still about cleaning dirt with water, but Powerwash Simulator 2 layers in more structure, more tools, and more personality, resulting in a sequel that feels fuller and more ambitious while staying true to its meditative roots. The story once again unfolds in and around the strange town of Muckingham, quietly expanding the oddball lore that made the first game more memorable than it had any right to be. You reprise your role as a power washing professional, now operating alongside Harper Shaw, with a new base of operations and a broader reach across Caldera County. What begins as routine work slowly reveals deeper issues beneath the grime. Disgraced former Mayor Jeff Jefferson the 13th has reinvented himself as county mayor, leveraging corruption, environmental damage, and a fake Town of the Year scheme to enrich himself. Along the way, the town's cats mysteriously vanish, including Jefferson's own cat, Ulysses. Ancient landmarks are established by stolen artifacts, and cleaning jobs uncover secret passages, lost items, and strange hints of sci-fi and time travel elements. As before, the narrative is delivered almost entirely through text messages from clients, meaning it's easy to engage with if you want context, but just as easy to ignore if you're here purely for the act of cleaning. The story is more involved than before, but it never gets in the way, which feels like the right balance of this kind of game. Gameplay remains immediately familiar, and that's very much by design. Powerwash Simulator 2 builds directly on the original's core loop. Select a job, methodically wash every surface until the dirt is gone, earn money, upgrade your tools, and move on. The act of cleaning is still the star, with responsive water physics, clear visual feedback, and that ever-satisfying ding when a section is fully cleaned. What's new is how much smoother and more readable everything feels. Progress tracking is clearer thanks to segmented objectives and better dirt highlighting options, making it far easier to tell what still needs attention. Jobs themselves are larger and more dynamic, often unfolding in stages as new areas open up once earlier sections are cleaned, giving each level a stronger sense of progression instead of feeling like a static checklist. The sequel also introduces a range of new tools and mechanical refinements. The soap system has been completely reworked into a universal rechargeable mechanic rather than a consumable resource, making it far more practical to use against stubborn grime. New equipment like the scissor lifts and aerial swings allow you to tackle tall structures and awkward angles more efficiently, while wide area tools like the Swirl Force Surface Cleaner are designed to speed through large flat spaces. Not every addition will click for every player. The surface cleaner, for example, is undeniably effective but not nearly as engaging as manually spraying dirt away. But the options are there if you want them. Importantly, none of these tools are mandatory. The game never forces you away from the basic hose and nozzle approach, which is smart because the fundamental satisfaction of washing surfaces by hand is still what carries the experience. Multiplayer has also seen meaningful improvements. Up to 4 players can now share campaign progression online, and split-screen co-op has been added for local play. When it works, cleaning alongside friends is an easygoing social experience that fits the game's relaxed tone perfectly. There are still occasional connection hiccups and sync issues, especially around launch, but stability improved noticeably with updates, and it feels like an area Future Lab is actively supporting rather than leaving behind. One of the more unexpected additions is the home base. Between jobs, you can return to a customizable garage space, decorated with furniture you unlock, and interact with the cats you see throughout the campaign, including Ulysses. This feature won't matter to everyone, and it's entirely optional, but it does add a sense of place and progression beyond simply earning money for better washers. For players who enjoy light customization and downtime between jobs, it's a pleasant extra layer without becoming a distraction. Visually, Powerwash Simulator 2 looks clean in the best possible way. Surfaces are more detailed, lighting is improved, and the contrast between grime and freshly cleaned areas is striking. Dirt behaves differently depending on the material, and watching water trickle, pull, and wash residue away never gets old. The ability to tweak how dirt is highlighted is especially useful for accessibility and comfort during longer sessions. Audio design continues to be understated but effective, with subtle variations in spray sounds depending on nozzle and pressure, and the familiar completion chimes delivering that small but crucial dopamine hit. The absence of a traditional soundtrack remains intentional, reinforcing the calm, almost therapeutic tone that defines the series. There are downsides, though they rarely undermine the experience. At launch, I encountered several technical issues, including tools failing to activate, objects getting stuck in place, and one particularly frustrating bug where a scissor lift became immobile during a theater job. While workarounds were usually possible, these moments broke the flow that the game otherwise excels at maintaining. To Future Lab's credit, updates arrived quickly and many of these issues were resolved soon after, but some minor jank still pops up here and there. The sequel also plays things fairly safe structurally. If you were hoping for a radical reinvention, this isn't that. It's an expansion and refinement rather than a transformation, and whether that's a positive or a disappointment will depend entirely on how much you value the original. Playing solo, it took me around 50 hours to finish the campaign and earn the Platinum Trophy, and even then, I hadn't unlocked everything. It's a game that respects your time while also encouraging you to linger, whether you're playing attentively or half listening to a podcast after a long day. Despite some launch hiccups and a design that errs on the side of familiarity, the sheer number of quality of life improvements, new tools, expanded co-op, and deeper narrative touches make this feel like a confident, thoughtful sequel. With an ongoing roadmap promising new features, fixes, and content well into 2026, Powerwash Simulator 2 earns its place as one of the strongest examples of how a simulator game can be both relaxing and genuinely engaging. I give Powerwash Simulator 2 an 8.5 out of 10.